All right, Houston Texans. 2024, they went 10-7. We had a bit of a regression, as I mentioned, with CJ Stroud from his rookie year. He had that amazing rookie year. But then obviously last year it looked like he was running for his life. But this year they're looking to three-peat as division title winners. Can they finally compete for an AFC championship? We don't really seem to talk about this team in the same way as the other division winners in this conference. We don't put them up there with the KC and the Buffalo and the Baltimore. And this team's won back-to-back division titles. You mentioned they won 4 of the last, seven. So this is a consistently good team in a weak division, yes. But is this finally a year that we can put the Texans in that tier with those guys?
It's so weird because the eye test shows that C.J. Stroud and the Texans regressed last year, but I believe they finished with the same record. They won the division, and you can claim, well, it was the AFC South. That's terrible. But they once again won a playoff game, and they took the Chargers to the woodshed and just absolutely
Right.
destroyed them. And they played Kansas City K. They looked like they belonged on the field with them. So,
Right, right.
yeah, it all comes down to the O line must play better. Absolutely. That's by far their biggest weakness. I don't know if they've done enough to address it in the offseason. But CJ Stroud, it's so weird. You look at him, or you just read the description of him, you just think young quarterback, Ohio State's going to be a mobile guy. I mean, you're told he's really good. That means he's probably a mobile guy. He's like a Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels-esque guy.
Right.
No, he's a pocket passer. He doesn't like to move around very much. Very accurate passer. Um, so that you need a good O line. Like it's important that you have a great offensive line. And that's what's going to come down to this year. He has plenty of weapons. You got Joe Mixon. They signed Nick Chubb in the offseason. That's a pretty good running back two to have in your room, I would say. Um, Nico Collins, hopefully he stays healthy this year. He's a solid wide receiver one. And they got those two Iowa State guys in the draft, if you recall,
Yep.
to pair with Christian Kirk, who's also in the wide receiver room. So, yeah, offensively, I think there's enough there. It's just going to come down to can they keep CJ Stroud upright. Defensively, I believe this is the most underrated defense in the league. I think it's one of the best defenses in the league. I think it's a top 5 defense. It doesn't get talked about enough. But, yeah, I mean, you got Will Anderson Jr. and Darnell Hunter, or Danielle Hunter, or you say his name, on the on the edge. Deez Al-Shire, we talked about earlier, is a good linebacker to have.
Yeah.
And then you got a pretty good secondary, too. They signed Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. You got Derek Stingley Jr. Jalen Petrie is a really underrated safety. So, I think this is a very solid defense. You kind of saw it in the playoffs. I mean, they picked off Justin Herbert 4 times. They held Kansas City to just 23 points. I think this defense is good enough to compete with the top teams in
Oh
the
yeah.
AFC. I really think they are. I feel like their whole season comes down to can you keep Stroud upright so we don't see any kind of slump again like we did last year.
Yeah, very impressive, very underrated defense, as you mentioned. One pickup that they do have on the offensive side is offensive coordinator Nick Caley. He should be able to help the offense, which was held back by coaching errors last season. Honestly, this offense could be league average. And as you mentioned, with that defense, this could be a very scary team come playoff time. Caley, though, he's had some good experience. He's been in the Sean McVay incubator for the last 2 seasons, and he was with the McDaniels Belichick Patriots before that. So he's gotten a lot of really good experience from some very intelligent minds in football. So it'll be interesting to see how he affects the offensive side of the ball. They do lose Laramie Tunsil on the O line, which could make things a little bit difficult for the third-year QB and CJ Stroud. But I really think he's going to bounce back from a sophomore slump that ultimately did still end up with a division title.
Yeah, they're rightfully still the favorites in the division. They did lose Stephon Diggs in the offseason, even though he didn't play. He only played half the season last year.
I think that's
Tank,
the best
Tank Dell is
let.
still hurt, right?
I believe so, yes. But the
Yeah,
Diggs getting rid of Diggs, I think, is the best decision for any team.
that's probably right. I'm just thinking down the line if injuries happen, but you drafted 2 receivers early
Yep.
in the draft, so they're kind of aware that you got to keep the arsenal ready to go if someone goes down. So yeah, I For the over, I'm taking the over again on this. Is another over. I'm
This is
taking
great.
the AFC South 9.5. I mean, I think this is for sure double-digit win team, assuming everyone stays healthy. Yes, they won the division, so they're going to play the Baltimores and the Buffaloes, but it's still just what did I write? 18th strength hardest schedule. That's not bad for a division winner. So and you got to play the AFC South. So I am for sure taking that over 9.5. I
especially
think
at especially
defense
at
is going to
plus
look good.
value. I'm seeing at plus 105. It's not great plus value, but it's just interesting that even an over 9.5 is where the line's looking at for Houston. I think I'm right there with you. I'm taking the over on that. Um, Last team to look at here. It's a team right in my backyard here in Nashville. The Tennessee Titans. So they finished an abysmal 3-14 last season. Um, Obviously, all eyes are on Cam Ward, except for eyes for primetime games because the Tennessee Titans don't have any. Hopefully, Cam Ward is going to give us some flashes of what he can be in this league. That's all it's really asking of him this year. I think they can be a game or two better because I think Will Levis, their QB last year, really just lost them at least 2-3 games just from bonehead blunders on offense, just handing it to the defense. Here in Nashville, the
Did you
new
see the news
Nissan.
that he's out?
Yeah,
Yeah, we
yeah,
just
he's.
saw the news today that he will be out for the year. So, I mean, they never declared Cam Ward the starter. But,
I think it's a pretty done deal now.
now it's a done deal. Yeah.
And here in Nashville, the new Nissan Stadium's getting built. I drive past it sometimes, and it'll be ready by 2027. So hopefully by that point, Ward will be in his third year and might be leading this team to the playoffs. But Tennessee, they're hopefully they get their center Cushionberry back off a torn Achilles. That could really help strengthen the O line for a young quarterback. But I do still see it as a rebuild year? Question mark. Or does this roster have enough to actually contend in a weak division such as this one? Is the switch from a Levis to a Ward all that was needed? Because this roster was able to compete with a lot of good teams, and it isn't that bad of a roster. Just Levis just threw away some games.
If Cam Ward has a Jaden Daniels like year, yes, they
Well,
could
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
But I'm not saying that because I would say there's some teams that if Jaden Daniels played for, that team still wouldn't be very good because they're
yeah.
bad enough. But it would take a lot. I feel like their defense was, I mean, they were rightfully underrated because the team was bad record wise, but while their defense was not bad at all, they were the best in the AFC or pass defense and total defense for yards per game. I mean, that's pretty good for a team
Yeah,
with that bad of a record. Problem is
yeah,
they were awful, and I mean absolutely awful against the run. That's kind of why their defense wasn't winning them many games. But still, I mean, they were hard to throw against, and you didn't score very much against them, so that's something. But, I mean, their weapons are just interesting. You got Pollard and Spears as your running backs. I think that could work. They're not game breakers, but it's serviceable. But I don't like the receiving core at all. Calvin Ridley's not a wide receiver one. He'd be a solid wide receiver two on a lot of teams, but he is not a wide receiver one. Tyler Lockett just adds to the meme of Titans signing old washed receivers. He's joining the likes of Andre Johnson, Julio Jones, and all the great ones who have worn Titans jerseys at the tail end of their careers. Um, but I mean, Cam Ward's frankly, you could say he's a winner. I mean, he played for three different colleges and succeeded at all three, with rising up each tenure. Like he was at Incarnate Word, won there, went to Washington State, was a winner there, and Miami played really well there. So he's unlike Anthony Richardson, who we talked about earlier. I mean, this guy has experience and he's shown that he can win. So yeah, as long as he doesn't commit the boneheaded turnovers that Will Levis did, I think he can keep them afloat and keep them fairly competitive in this division. But I still don't see them on the same level, I don't think, barring major injuries by the other teams in the division.
yeah. I mean, so if this team gets a game better, 2 games better, and it's pretty much another disappointing season, albeit a rebuild year, is Brian Callahan, going to be on the hot seat this year?
It all depends on how Cam Ward looks. If he looks like he's going to be really good in the future, he shows signs, I think Callahan's job will be safe. If he looks horrible, then there might be some warm cushions.
It is an impulsive owner with Amy Adams Strunk. She ended up taking down the GM instead of the coach last year. So we'll see what happens with Callahan. But what do you got for their over/under win total?
So do you have it at 5.5?
That's where I have it at. Yeah.
I don't like this one. It's similar to the Jaguars one. I'm not a huge fan of this one either. I'm going to go under. I'm at 5. They'll show a 2-game improvement. My prediction.
I think a lot of these teams are going to be pretty close, at least in my predictions. I've got unders on both the Jaguars and Colts at 7.5, but I've got the Titans at over 5.5. Not plus value on it, it's minus 120, but I see just those 3 teams kind of being packed in together, trying to fight for second place. So yeah, I got them at over 5.5 for their win total. But
I will say something interesting about their schedule. I don't know if I rarely ever see this, but so they play 3 straight road games earlier in the year, but the entire month of November, keep in mind November has 5 Sundays. They never leave Tennessee. They have a home game, then a bye, and then 3 straight home games. So essentially they have 4 straight home games in the year with a bye in there, which I think is just, I mean, that might be nice come November. I mean, Nashville's not super cold, so you won't have the travel bug anywhere. But also, this is just a stat that I want to throw out there. I forgot to throw this out last week, but if you were curious, the cheapest NFL game you can get a ticket to involves these Tennessee Titans. The Titans at Cleveland Browns in Week 14. Tickets start, and keep in mind, this is the off season where tickets are usually kind of expensive because you don't know. There's always hope for all these teams, so you don't lower the price to get people to go. But yeah, so Titans at Browns Week 14. Tickets start at just $22.
Those are some cheap tickets. I don't think I'll find myself in Cleveland though anytime soon.